So you're not sure how to organize your training long term. Now, this can take a lot of study and practice, but if you do enough of it, you'll be able to understand a basic outline of how you should be approaching each different phase of your training. What is a phase? Well, I'm going to explain some of this to you right now. Okay, so for the most part, a lot of people are looking to build some muscle, get stronger, to just better function in the world and maybe keep their muscle and bone density up, be generally healthier, right? Maybe you have an aesthetic goal that you want to get to, and building muscle is a part of that, So this is gonna cover a lot of those things. It can even be good for athletic approaches and so forth. So you can kind of plug and play with certain aspects of your own training. If you're an athlete or you have some sort of hobby like trail running or something like that, you can still use this approach with your cross training, your strength training in particular. So we're going to go over how to go through different phases and what the structure of that looks like. So we're going to start off things with the volume phase. So the volume phase is essentially just a higher rep phase where you're looking to build muscle, build some endurance, some work capacity, and just build bigger muscles that can eventually be used to lift heavier things and be used in your intensity phase later on. So where do we start with this? Well, first of all, let's see what else is involved with it. So you can do 3-week waves. Those are really common. Some people do longer ones, some people do shorter ones, but generally 3 weeks is the number. 3 weeks and then a deload. So you have about a month's worth of training in one wave, and 3 waves make up a phase, generally speaking. Again, they can be a little longer, a little shorter, depending on your situation. So 3-week wave, increasing volume each week generally is the priority, but you can also increase the intensity, as you'll see in a moment. Your main lift, so things like your squat, your bench press, your deadlift, front squat, whatever the case may be for you, your main lift is going to be anywhere from 5 to 12 repetitions. And then the accessory movements, so the smaller muscle groups or things, things like back work and whatnot, or maybe some bodybuilding type of stuff like some preacher curls or whatever, those are going to be more in the 8 to 15 plus rep range. So higher rep ranges when you're working with smaller muscle groups that generally just aren't the main lift. 2 to 5 sets, 50 to 80% of your 1 rep maximum. So if you don't know what your 1 rep maximum is, there are lots of calculators out there that you can use. They may not be the most accurate thing, but they can at least give you an idea of what kind of weight you need to actually work with. So give yourself a little bit of a range. And so an example of this would be starting off your first week, 3 sets of 10. All right, 3 sets of 10 on your squat, your bench press, and your deadlift. 3 different days. And you can also add in like the overhead press to that if you want to lift 4 days a week. But depending on how much time and how many days a week you commit to your training, that's going to vary a little bit. But on your main lifts, 3 sets of 10 at 60% of your 1 rep maximum. Okay, this can be as little as 50%, but that's generally saved for even higher rep ranges like 12, for example. So 3 sets of 10, 60%. Week number 2, 4 sets of 10s. We're adding a set, and you can go from 60 to 65%. So you can increase your weight a little bit as well. But when in doubt, just focus on increasing the volume. Don't prioritize intensity here yet, because that's for later. And then week 3, adding a 5th set of 10, 60 to 70% of your 1 rep max. Or again, you can keep the weight the same and just manipulate the amount of sets as your one variable that you're changing, because that's going to make it harder all by itself. So you don't necessarily have to add weight, but you can. And then you take a deload week. So you could do a couple sets of 10 and let your body recover. You could even do as little as go down to a couple sets of 5, or you can do 2 sets of 10 at a lighter weight, whatever it is you want to do. Just give your body a chance to chill out a little bit, recover a little bit, so that you can push hard again in the next wave. So the next wave, you would manipulate some of these things again. So you might go down to 3 sets of 8, then 4 sets of 8, 5 sets of 8, and your percentages are a little bit higher as well. So that's how you could do that. And then after that next 3-week wave, you deload, because this week 3, that's pretty tough. Week 3 should be pretty tough, pretty challenging, so that you welcome that deload the week after. All right. Deloads are a great way to keep yourself in the gym and out of the PT office. So use them. Then next, we got our intensity phases. Okay. So you can, after running 2, 3, or more waves in the volume phase, you can take a deload week and then switch it up to your intensity phase. So again, we have 3-week waves here. You're focusing on increasing your intensity as time goes on instead of volume now. Your main lift is 1 to 5, maybe 6 reps. Accessory lifts are lower as well, 6 to 10 reps, depending on which one you're doing. If you're isolating a muscle or you're using another compound lift like a bent over row or something of that nature. And then you're doing 3 to 5 sets at a time. All right. So 3 to 5 sets, and you're doing 85 to 95 or higher % of your 1 rep max. So going to 100% or above 100%, which would be a new PR for you, would be saved for the very end of that intensity block if you decide to test at the end of that. So an example of this one would be week 1, 5 sets of 3 reps at 80% of your 1 rep max. All right, week 2, 3 sets of 3, 85%. And then week 3, 1 set of an all-out effort of 3 reps. So you can see here how the intensity, the percentage of your 1 rep max, is increasing as the weeks go on. And the volume is decreasing. So you go from doing 15 total repetitions to 9 to just 3 on that last week. And then you would deload. And then you could go into another phase where you do sets of 2, 5 sets of 2, 3 sets of 2, 1 set of 2, and so on and so forth, increasing the percentage of your 1 rep max as time goes on. And so you would run through 3, maybe more, but I wouldn't go too crazy too long with this training. This can beat up on your joints a little bit. They both can really, but those heavy weights, after a little while, you're going to want to take a little bit of a break from that, maybe do a little more volume training once again. So 1, primarily for building muscle, endurance, work capacity. The other, for building strength, making yourself physically stronger, capable of lifting and manipulating heavier objects. Both are really important. And if you're the type of person that just does volume training all the time, really high volume, you like the pump, you like the burn, you like to feel like you're sore and you've really done something, take a little bit of time. Try decreasing your volume and increasing your intensity. And when you get back to the volume phase, you'll find that you can lift heavier weights for higher repetitions. And you find that your body has now de-adapted, unadapted to this type of training. If you do it all the time, you spend a little time away from it, you then take a step back and your body is no longer used to this type of training. You actually find that your muscles grow a little bit more. You can lift heavier weights with those higher repetitions. And then vice versa with intensity training. If you're the type of person that just loves lifting super heavy, you just like feeling super strong, and that's all you do day in, day out, year in, year out, try a few waves of volume training. All right, it's going to feel weird. You're going to go light. You're going to do lots of reps, and you're going to be gassed out probably your first couple times doing it. But then you give it a few weeks, and you can adapt to this pretty quickly. And then you go back to your intensity phase, and you got a little more muscle on your frame. You're able to lift a little bit heavier, and your joints don't bother you quite as much. So both of these are important. I highly recommend that if you do one, that you mix in the other for a few waves, and you see how it goes for you. They both have a lot of value. So try this out. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.